In today's video, we are not going to talk about fame, Oscars, or the iconic roles that defined a lifetime. Instead, we will go straight to a truth that is rarely mentioned: how the stars of Hollywood's golden age actually died from illness. Not the glamorous deaths seen on screen, but long, painful months in hospitals, failed surgeries, prescriptions that did little more than buy time, and bodies slowly wasting away behind the curtains. What makes these stories even more haunting is this: most of those illnesses did not come at random. Some were destroyed by smoking habits that Hollywood romanticized for decades. Others suffered from the so-called disease of the century, while their private lives were kept under absolute secrecy to protect their public image. And there were legends who, upon realizing there was no way back, quietly crossed borders just to gamble their lives on a fragile last-chance surgery. So in the end, behind those seemingly immortal faces, what horrors did they endure before they died? 1. Chuck Connors. Lung illness, smoking, and a long decline after the television spotlight. Actor Chuck Connors died of lung cancer today at a Los Angeles hospital. His career spanned television, film, and professional sport. He played both basketball and baseball. But most Americans remember Connors as sharpshooter Lucas McCain. In late 1989, those attending a gathering of former television actors in Beverly Hills immediately noticed that Chuck Connors looked very different. The upright posture and sharp gaze once familiar on screen were gone. Connors appeared with slumped shoulders, a gaunt face, and a raspy voice. He frequently had to pause mid-sentence to catch his breath, a detail that prompted quiet concern among those present. When reporters asked about his condition, Connors offered a faint smile, saying it was simply the result of aging, and quickly ended the conversation. In reality, medical records from a private clinic in Los Angeles had already documented severe lung damage linked to many years of smoking, along with clear signs of declining respiratory function. Chuck Connors began smoking in the early 1940s, when he was still a professional baseball and basketball player. By the time he reached the height of his fame with The Rifleman on ABC from 1958 to 1963, the habit had become inseparable from his daily life. According to a former production assistant who worked on set, Connors could go through 2 to 3 packs a day, even during breaks between takes. Cigarettes were everywhere: makeup rooms, backstage areas, and television interviews alike. At the time, Hollywood not only failed to discourage the habit, but indirectly reinforced it through advertising deals and sponsorships tied to the tobacco industry. By early 1990, his symptoms became increasingly apparent. Connors developed a persistent cough, shortness of breath even with light activity, rapid weight loss, and frequent chest discomfort. After repeatedly delaying medical tests, he finally agreed to undergo more thorough examinations. The results showed a serious lung condition that had already reached an advanced stage. According to a physician involved in his care, as indirectly cited by the Los Angeles Times, the affected area had spread extensively, severely limiting the lung's ability to process oxygen. At that point, treatment focused primarily on managing symptoms. Connors underwent radiation therapy to slow the progression of the illness, along with strong pain relief medications to control chest discomfort and drugs to support breathing. He was also prescribed corticosteroids to reduce inflammation and slightly improve respiratory capacity. However, these medications came with significant side effects. Connors struggled with chronic insomnia, physical weakness, mood swings, and increased irritability. These changes began to expose personal tensions that had been kept out of public view for many years. People close to him later recalled that Connors became short-tempered, cut off contact with old friends, and grew increasingly suspicious of those around him. Long-standing rumors about a complicated personal life, once dismissed as background noise, were now revisited more frequently by the press. Many articles questioned whether his illness, combined with the effects of treatment, had contributed to noticeable changes in his personality during his final years. By 1991, Connors had almost completely withdrawn from public life. He was hospitalized multiple times, primarily for pain management and respiratory support. When the illness reached its final stage, treatment options were limited to comfort care, with no possibility of reversing its course. In 1992, Chuck Connors passed away quietly. His passing left behind a bitter paradox. The man who had embodied the idealized image of the American family, strength, integrity, and moral clarity on television, had been gradually worn down by a lifestyle widely normalized in Hollywood for decades. Illness not only took away his physical strength, but also exposed fractures in his private life, causing a carefully maintained image to slowly unravel before the lights went out for good. And while Chuck Connor's condition progressed slowly, steadily weakening his body over many years, another star from the same era faced a very different outcome, one shaped by health issues and medical intervention, unfolding so rapidly that no one had time to prepare and leading to an even more controversial tragedy behind the scenes of Hollywood. 2. Dan Blocker. One operation brought everything to an end. In early May 1972, Dan Blocker was admitted to Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in Los Angeles in a relatively calm state of mind. He told friends it was simply a scheduled gallbladder operation and that he would be back on the Bonanza set within a few days. At the time, there were no press releases and no sense of looming danger. To the public, it was a routine medical procedure, widely considered safe. What unfolded behind the operating room doors, however, was far more complex. For more than a decade on Bonanza, Dan Blocker maintained an intense filming schedule with very few extended breaks. The physical strain of this workload, combined with his large build and a history of prolonged fatigue, meant his body was functioning under constant stress. Medical literature from that era noted that patients with similar physical profiles often faced elevated cardiovascular risks under general anesthesia, especially if not thoroughly evaluated beforehand. An analysis published in Medical World News in the early 1970s emphasized that anesthesia in patients with undetected heart vulnerability could lead to unpredictable reactions. Despite this, Blocker's operation proceeded according to the standard practices of the time. After the surgery concluded, Dan Blocker's condition deteriorated rapidly. He developed acute heart failure, a state in which the heart can no longer pump blood effectively to sustain vital organs. Doctors immediately administered cardiac support medications and drugs to stabilize blood pressure in an effort to stimulate heart function. However, Blocker's body responded poorly. His heart failed to react as hoped, blood pressure dropped quickly, and resuscitation measures proved only temporarily effective. According to information revealed later, the time between the onset of complications and Blocker's passing was extremely short. His family received notice from the hospital, but had no opportunity to prepare or say goodbye. Dan Blocker passed away at the age of 43, an age at which the public still believed he was at the peak of his career. His sudden death sparked immediate controversy within the television industry. Several close colleagues later shared that, in the months leading up to the surgery, Blocker had frequently complained of persistent fatigue, mild shortness of breath, and chest discomfort, yet continued working. Some believed he did not want to disrupt production, fully aware that his character, Hoss Cartwright, was an emotional cornerstone of Bonanza. Speculation spread quickly. Some questioned whether Blocker's health had been properly assessed before surgery. Others wondered if pressure from the network and a demanding filming schedule had led him to ignore warning signs from his own body. Although no official conclusion was ever released, an atmosphere of doubt lingered behind the scenes in Hollywood for months afterward. The impact of his passing extended far beyond one individual. Bonanza lost its most beloved character, and the spirit of the cast changed noticeably. Those who remained later admitted they never fully regained the sense of unity they once had. For the public, the greatest shock lay in a stark realization. A star could be lost simply because the body could not withstand the combination of an underlying condition, anesthesia, and prolonged pressure. Dan Blocker's story prompted many to question for the first time the darker side of American television's golden age, an era in which personal health was often pushed to the background. And before the echoes of this tragedy had fully faded, Hollywood would witness yet another case, where illness affected not only the body, but set off a chain of accidents and turning points that redirected a star's entire life onto a completely different path. But 3. Clint Walker. Melanoma, off-screen scars, and a quiet decline. Few noticed. For many years, Clint Walker was one of the few television stars audiences believed could never weaken. Week after week on the small screen, Walker appeared in Cheyenne with an imposing build, steady movements, and a deep, confident voice, showing no sign of fatigue. Yet, behind those primetime images, his body had been sending warning signals far earlier than anyone realized. Walker spent most of his filming career outdoors, under the intense sun of the American West. At the time, skin protection received little attention, especially for male actors portraying cowboys. According to a close friend later quoted in a local California newspaper, Walker once regarded darkened skin, discoloration, or small sores as nothing more than normal consequences of the job. He did not seek medical attention until one skin lesion failed to heal for months. When Walker finally agreed to undergo medical examination, doctors delivered